All right, it has been a hot minute since I've done a video update on the Dart and kind of what's been going on. Those of you who actually really know me, there's a little time where I had some health issues where I thought I was going to get out of racing. Had gotten rid of the Dart, um, gotten like a cruiser C10 car or a C10 72 blue C10 that I was driving around, and yeah, it was cool, it was clean. Didn't feel necessarily like me. Got to missing the Dart pretty good. Didn't feel right not having the car back here. Luckily, John was kind enough to let me get the car back. He actually wanted the C10, so it ended up working out. We're doing a swap back between he and I for the Dart. So got the Dart back. He had done some upgrades to it while he had it. One of which he narrowed the rear end while he had it, and put some 35 spline axles in there, and then the new spool for the rear, and switched it over to a 15 by 10 that had I think it's 4.5 backspace versus the old setup, which was a 15 by 11 with I think 8.5 backspace, which is a lot crazier one-off style kind of wheel that you won't really find a whole lot of cars that actually fit it. So he made the smart choice, narrowed the rear, a lot more options, a lot easier to get a hold of when it comes to wheel sizes and stuff. He also added traction control while he had it, so now it has a sensor on the drive shaft. It also has a front wheel speed sensor, so it does have the differential traction control, basically bouncing the drive shaft speed off of the front wheel speed, and then essentially when it is spinning the rear tires and the wheel speed doesn't match the front wheel speed sensor, it'll pull timing out of the motor so that the wheels can get hooked back up, and then once they're hooked back up and matched up with the drive shaft speed and wheel speed, it'll start adding timing back in to get you hooked up and going on down the road. And the one time I've used that so far, it worked out very well. And then shortly after I got it back, fell into a deal, essentially on a pair of Precision turbos from one of our local buddies up here in Washington, Lou. Picked up the turbos off of his car and decided, since it was already wintertime, upgrade season, to go ahead and just start trying to drop some weight off the car, make the car go faster, get the engine bay a little bit better organized for what I wanted to do with the car. Switched out the front wheels finally. I'll show you those here in a second. Switched out the front wheels to a pair of the RC Comp Torques to match the rear. And with the car coming back from John, he had like a pair of 15 by 10 steel wheels on it, which they weren't very sexy looking, and they were heavy as hell. So I picked up another set of RC Comp Torques 15s for the back. They're the non-beadlock wheels. However, they'll be going back to RC Comp here soon and have the beadlock process done on them. So then it'll be a match set front and rear on the RC Comp Torques. It'll still be 15 by 10, 4.5 backspace in the back, and then the fronts are the 17s instead of 15s now. And surprisingly, going to the 17-inch RC Comps actually dropped, I want to say 20, 25 pounds off the front wheels alone over the 15-inch Jegs wheels and the radial tires I had before, because now I've got the Mickey Thompson front skinnies as well over the old setup, and still running the 275 Outback 275 60 15 drag radials in the rear. But the 23rd, right before Christmas, I did pick the Dart back up from West Chadwick up there, Chadwick Fabrication Motorsports up there in Burlington, Washington, with a bunch of the new upgrades that I had him go ahead and do to kind of get the Dart in the position of, or in the orientation that I really wanted to have it done. Some things I've been putting off that I've been wanting to do for a while that I just, for one reason or another didn't get done, has now been done. We got the new Precision turbos situated. You'll see that here in a second. I'll just go over it while I'm walking around the car. See here, I still have to put the velocity stacks right back there in the front bumpers over here where the setup is, but that's just as easy as popping it back in there and putting a ring on it. Did get the Abomination name finally back on the front. Don't worry, it's not leaking. It's just where I had a puddle in the garage. But here is the overall new setup in the engine bay. These are the new precision turbos instead of the VSRs that were in there before. These are V-band now versus T4, and got one on each side like she's always been. Those were 20 pounds lighter each. Bigger turbos, 20 pounds lighter each, make more power, make power faster, which is always a good thing. Ball bearings versus journal bearings like we had before. The elephant in the room is the the new intake setup that Wes custom built for me, utilizing his 3.5-inch core, and got 16 AN fittings on each side. And he did put I asked him to do the Hogan's burst panel, so he put that on there for me. The big heavy intercooler that used to be down here in the front is no longer there, obviously. That thing I think weighed 40 pounds, 42 pounds when we weighed it, and then that intercooler there with the intake lid and everything is half as much. So it worked out very well going to this over the other setup. Same precisions over here, and instead of having 15-20 feet of intercooler piping, we've got that right there, which Wes was able to hook up for me and get it powder coated prior to bringing the car back down here. We went to the low ram, lower intake manifold to use as the base, and the overall plan worked out very well, because with his intake and the core and the low ram, that entire setup is the exact same. Just, I think it's like a 1/4 inch difference over the Holley high ram I was running before. And as you all know, I have that hood. That way I like to keep everything clean and under the hood, not be one of the people, nothing against them, but I don't want to cut a hole in my hood to stick an intake out of the top of it. Overall, more street car for me. But he got that all set up. Y'all remember how rowdy the bends and routing were on the the down pipes and dump tubes before. Here, a lot cleaner, a lot more well set up for what we were trying to do. A lot shorter routing. Wastegates are now tucked. Oh, there you go. You can see it down in there. Wastegates are tucked down in there, nice and clean. Let's see. Got the injectors out right now because we're going to send them off to Street Driven Motorsports to get them cleaned and flowed before we start firing the car back up in the spring. But overall, just made everything a whole lot cleaner, a whole lot nicer in there than what it was before. You can't really see it. I'll have to do a separate video later on. But this, he custom made me. I'll have to share some pictures with it or something. This core support here, because before it was the thin aluminum or the thin factory metal, and he built me one custom out of the bar he had there, and then reworked it to tie everything back in together, make everything nice and clean. Because it was weaker, the front end was flexing, and we didn't want it to keep doing that. And in doing so, by strengthening up that front end, it's a lot more solid, and it actually fixed the door gap down the side to where it should be. Before it was nice and tight, the door was kind of pinching here and there, but it's not doing that anymore, luckily. So he did take care of that for me. And then one of the last things he did do, since we're doing the 16 AN fittings there, is we went ahead and had him weld these 16 AN fittings here on the tank, and they're going to run right back through those holes and go back down to a Davies. We're going to put a Davies water pump on there for the intercooler, and that has thread end 16 AN fittings already on it, so it'll be all braided or braided nylon fittings going from the tank back there all the way up to the intercooler. So it won't be those little plastic, clear rubber tubes that I had on there before. It'll be a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. But yeah, that's just a lot going on over here. I've got to take this, I'm getting ready to tear this intercooler or this radiator out. Got to do some touch-up painting on there to get everything back to red. One thing you cannot see that has been done is I have now gotten rid of the Cameron's 9.5-inch torque converter that I was running before, which was, it worked out. It went A to B, you know, once we got it figured out where it wanted to be, where it wanted to live, we did pull that out, and now it has a 252 millimeter Circle D bolt together converter in it now. So I'm extremely excited, to say the least, to see how this thing's going to do on these new Precisions, that new converter, and getting on down the track. Seeing as we haven't been down the track since 2022, I think. I have to go back to one of my videos, but it's been a while. And that old setup on the 69 millimeter turbos, the 370 inch motor, and race gas went 8.5 at 155. And then now we got the 408 in there. It's E85 and these new Precision turbos, and with the traction control and everything. I'm extremely excited on how things are looking up on the Dart. Nothing really to engine on the inside. Still street car. Still got everything in there. Still got the bench seat in the back. Yeah, really looking forward to getting this thing back out, getting this thing going down the track. Either here in Washington, if we get everything done and wrapped up. Would love to try to make LS Fest West. That's going to be a push to get everything done, timeline wise. And if not, most likely we'll be back out at Pacific Raceways here, and then it's looking like the Navy's going to be moving us back east in July-August timeframe. So yeah, hopefully we'll be back out on the East Coast, Virginia, North Carolina area, and we'll see y'all out there racing next year. Thanks for watching. Take care, and hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.